Okay, so let's talk about brushes. There are some things that you need to do in order to care for the brushes that you have been given. These brushes should last you all semester long, and if you treat them well, they'll last you much longer than that. I personally have some brushes that I have had since I was in high school, so we're talking 25, 30 years that I have had some of these brushes. Well, maybe not 30 years, but 25 years, 25 years, and I've had some of the brushes. So let's actually talk about the different parts of the brush. We, of course, have the bristles, and depending on the type of brush will determine the shape of the bristles. So this is a flat brush. So when you look at this, the ferrule is crimped to be very flat to provide a wide, flat brush head. The next part of a brush is going to be this metal part here, and ours is gold. I think some of you guys may have a silver one that is thin and pointy. This is called the ferrule. And so the ferrule is the part of the brush that holds the bristles in place and connects it to the handle. Remember, we want to keep paint off our ferrule if we can at all possible. If we've got tons and tons of paint caking up on our ferrule, we're probably not using our brushes in the way that they're intended in class. Now, I do want to give you guys a bit of warning here. These brushes in particular, sometimes this will come off. That is easily remedied by one or two simple things. You can put a little bit of glue on here and then place the brush head back on and then let the glue dry, and that'll solve the problem. The other thing that you can do is take like a pair of pliers and just crimp this back on to the handle. When we look at the handle, you're going to notice there are a couple of things about these particular handles. They are numbered. Now, here's the bad thing. These numbers do wear off quite quickly, so that is something that it's always nice to know which size brush you're using, especially if you're trying to recreate a technique at a later date. So let's talk here. We've got a pointed brush. You can see that this ferrule is completely rounded. This one's fairly sizable. It's a size 7. Notice the bristles are nice and pointed here. Same thing here for this number 1. Now I think some of you guys have a number 1 brush that has a red handle and a silver ferrule. They're the exact same size. That's the nice thing about the numbering of the brush system. They will match. So you can mix and match brushes across different brands and they will have the same approximate size. And then we also have another flat brush. So again, we have this crimped ferrule here providing us this larger brush head. When we are taking care of our brushes, there are a couple of things that are really important to do. Number 1, if we do have paint on them, so let's say we're painting with a couple of different brushes and we're done with this brush for a minute, it should be going in our water container. We don't want to leave the paint on the brush and just set it to the side. That is going to give that acrylic paint time to dry on our brush, and when acrylic paint dries into these bristles, it is not coming out. So it is very important that we make sure that we are, placing our brushes in the water if we are not using them and they have paint on them. The other thing that we don't want to do is leave our paintbrushes in the water for a long period of time. So don't start painting in the afternoon, put all your paintbrushes in the water, and then walk off and leave it for 24 hours or overnight. What that can do is that can loosen the glue that is inside here, also holding the brush in place, and you will start to have chunks of your brush fall apart. You may even start to notice that the glue here has loosened. If that was a problem you didn't have previously. So don't leave your brushes sitting for a long period of time. When you wash your brushes, acrylic is water soluble, and that is what we're using in class right now. So you will not need to get any sort of special cleaner. Water will do just fine. And personally, when I wash, I often use my hand, and I gently, under running water, will rub the brush back and forth gently and this is of course under running water, which I can't do here because I'm at my desk, and that will help get all of the paint off your brush. Okay, And then the next step that you're going to want to do is you want to reshape your brush. So push it back into that flat shape, or if it's pointed, push it back into that pointed shape. That's going to help maintain the integrity of your brush shape, which is really important. The other thing that you should be doing is making sure that when you're painting with these, that we're treating them with care, and that you're not bending and pushing super hard against the ferrule with the bristles. You can bend bristles, they will not bend back. And so I don't have one here, but there are often times that I will have brushes that should be nice and smooth, and all of a sudden they have all of these hairs that are splaying out, which is not what we want. We want to preserve the integrity of our brush. So be careful when you are pressing with these on your paper. Of course you can use pressure, but if you are mashing this into your canvas or your paper, you are not using the brushes correctly. Okay, we don't want to bend those bristles. Again, washing when you're done with them is super important. The other thing I want to caution you guys against, you don't need, again, a ton of paint on most of these. Nothing that we're doing here is going to be like gigantic globs of paint on your palette paper. Don't wash that paint down your sink. A little bit of, paint that's dissolved into the bristles is totally fine, but we don't want you guys to be washing lots and lots of paint down your sink. That's not great for your sinks. And if you have any questions about brush care, please let me know, and I will be able to answer them.